Or am I okay?
Hi, this is Kim White with the My Sexy Business team. I'm here with my beautiful co-host,
Kristi Bridges from One Moment Wiser.
We are at the Hope to Hope conference. I'm in awe of what all has happened, and this is the third day. We have one more day to go, and I'm excited because our next guest is someone who's near and dear to my heart. He is someone who I believe in him like huge. I believe in him, and I had to like spank him at one point to make him believe that he was like so awesome. So, without further ado, welcome Martin Maynard to the Hope to Hope conference.
Hey, thank you. What an honor to be here with both of y'all.
Hey,
We're so excited you're here because I'm going to tell a backstory just because, I can embarrass us and stuff.
Right. Naturally.
Martin is my goodness, you've got like a whole list of titles. I'm going to tell the two that I think I can get right. And that is that you're an engineer for AEP in Tulsa. And the other one is that you have accomplished the Holy Grail because you have gotten to Distinguished Toastmaster.
That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Am I right?
I'm actually a senior designer for AEP, but so will be an engineer in the future.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, close enough.
Right.
Mr. Martin and I, we've been friends for quite a while, and we went to church together, we were neighbors, and he is somebody that, man, he has a story to tell. And one of the things that we are in the same club for, we didn't ask to be in that club, but we ended up discovering after being friends for a little bit that we both have lost a child. And that's not something you want to be in that club. You don't want to be part of that group. But when you find yourself in there, you have to make some decisions about how you're going to deal with it. So, Martin, I'm like just getting right to the meat of things because we're running late with starting the session because of my princess technical problems. But, just kind of tell us the story, like whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's a club per se that you really don't want to be a part of, but when you become a part of it, you just got to own it and decide what you're going to do with that, So we, back in 2005, my wife and I had a daughter. She was precious, naturally. We all love our children very much, and every child's precious. It's actually right around Easter. We had a bunch of family members over. She was about 2.5 months old. Bunch of family members were at our house. I had to go to work the next day. We, in the process of that, our truck had broken down and was on the side of the highway, which actually had all of our baby pictures and everything in it, and it had gotten broken into and everything gotten taken. So I was running a little bit late for work that next morning anyway, because I had to go get, figure out a way to get to work, get the car in the shop because it had been damaged, and I had to take care of some banking information because credit cards and everything else had been stolen. So I was running a little late that morning, so I was able to actually get up with Bailey. That was our daughter's name, Bailey. I was able to get up with her and give her a bottle and all that, spend some time with her before I went to work. And right before I left for work, I woke Candy up and I said, hey, I fed Bailey, I've wrapped her back up, laid her back down, and she should be good to go. Gave both of them a kiss and headed off to work in the bank and take care of some stuff right before work. So I am a little bit later that morning, I get to work. I'm talking to my boss, kind of letting him know, why I was late, what was going on and all that stuff. And then I had continued going to my office. Sitting in my office, my phone rings, and I see that on caller ID, it's from Candy. I thought, I'll answer it later. I'm busy. I'm trying to catch up on stuff. I was a little bit late. So about 5 minutes later, rang again. I thought, well, it must be something important. So I pick up the phone, and on the other end of that phone, I hear, Martin, she's dead. Bailey's gone. Bailey's dead. I'm like, what? Hey, what's going on? She goes, Bailey's not breathing and she's purple and I just know she's dead. I was like, well, let me talk to the paramedics or something. And she's like, I haven't called anybody. I called you first. I was like, get off the phone and call 911 now and get somebody there. Call 911. Well, I went to my boss, told him kind of what the conversation was and told him I was going to head to that house. And about the time I got to his office to tell him, I don't know if it's just the shock of it all or just the over emotions, but I about passed out. I kind of fainted a little bit, lost my balance. Another coworkers there kind of caught me, and my boss says, you're not driving anywhere, I'll drive you. So drove me, and I had him drive me to our house. We got to the house, and there was nobody there. Kenny wasn't there. Nobody was there. So I go in, I look around, and my boss sitting in the car, and I go back out. I was like, I think everything's okay. Nobody's here. You can go on. He goes, well, don't you think we ought to go to the hospital? You know, I don't know. Just I wasn't thinking or anything like that. But he went ahead and drove me over to the Cleveland hospital and got there, and there a bunch of family members were there, and then I kind of knew, you know, it just hit me that things were not good. My dad walked up to me, and he goes, Martin, she's, you know, there's nothing they could do for her right before I got in the hospital room. And then I go in there, and, you know, you see her laying on the table. She's still got tubes where they try to resuscitate her, and it's a different color, and it's just an image that is forever etched in my mind. The two things that are etched in my mind that I'll never forget is that first words of my wife on the phone, and then the image of Bailey sitting her on that table. So it was a very hard day, naturally.
Yes. Well, and it's been a hard, you know, it's not something that you have an incident like that, and then all of a sudden you're just fine.
Right, absolutely.
Such a process.
So many different emotions you go through. And there's different emotions for each person, I really believe. You know, you got the wife that's dealing with different emotions than the husband. The husband, for me, I felt like, man, I've got to be the strong guy here. I'm supposed to support everybody else's emotions. Try to put on that face of everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. When in reality, in your own mind, you're wondering, man, how are we going to get through this? And then for us, I've always had a connection with God, but I really, truly believe I don't care how strong you are with your faith and all that in God, it raises some questions. You know, not that I ever got away from trusting in God, but it sure does make you go, why? You know, why us? Why Bailey? Why now? What purpose could this possibly serve? Because I truly believe everything in the world happens for a reason. In my mind, I'm trying to figure out why. What is the reason?
Yes. And, you know, you bring up a really good point, because when you're going through that, you can kind of get stuck in the whys. You can get stuck there when we may never know the whys. You know, that's the part that I know, you know, we've had conversations, so I know I can say that about both of us, that you have to make a choice at some point that you're not going to know. Maybe you may never know, but
absolutely.
But trusting that God had a plan in all of it.
And you're right. I think you nailed it right there. Just trusting. I may not know, and that's with anything, you know, in our life, with losing a job or anything, these circumstances, that obstacles that kind of come our way. We may not ever really know the why. And sometimes God doesn't want us to know the why, because we may not be able to handle it right then. You know, at the right time, He'll open our eyes and open the doors that need to be opened and give us the reasons.
Well, even if we knew the why, we'd argue it. I mean,
right, absolutely.
Our heart has just been carved out, and why isn't going to put it back together? But the what now, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so this was such a tragedy, and you brought up another point, though, that I think is very much what we want to make sure we cover on this conference, and that is that everyone grieves differently.
Yes.
You know, I believe men are put in an exhausting position of being the strong one, but then I'm going to be mad at you if you don't grieve just like me.
Right.
And I think men look at women, you know, their wife in this situation, or the mama, and I think they are exhausting them because they're not dealing with it the way they think that they should do it. You know, it's like this whole dance. I think that I haven't looked in a while, so that don't quote me. I may not be right on this, but when Justin died, I think the divorce rate was 98% for families,
yes.
Or parents that lost a child. 98%.
Insight I never thought about, but you're right.
Yeah. And so what what would you say? Because, this is not yesterday this happened,
Right.
but it's still not that far back. I mean, we still miss our babies. We still, deal with things daily that come up.
Right.
So what would you say to a family that got that kind of news, that found out, something tragic was going to happen by a bad diagnosis, of sickness, or a sudden traumatic death like that? What would you say? Like, what's your best advice?
As cliche as it sounds, I really truly believe that, man. Just really put all your trust and faith in God. He is going to see you through this no matter what. And you may not see the path right now, but you will eventually. That's the toughest thing, because it really does sound so cliche. And I remember when we were first going through it, people will go, man, we're just so sorry to hear that. We understand, man, you're upset and all that, man. Is there anything we can do? And man, just trust God. And it was so cliche. And at that time, I'm like, man, I don't want to hear that crap,
Yeah.
You guys are about to, right, because after the funeral, all these people at the funeral, they go back to a normal life. And what do we have to go back to? Our life has been uprooted. It's completely different. We're not going back to the same life, So that was really tough. So, but just really, as cliche as it sounds, just really truly believe that God is going to see you through it.
It turned out to be true.
I think knowing that there's an end to the severity of the pain. Like, I'm not saying the pain ever ends, and I'm not saying the grief ever really finishes. Like, we don't just get to the other side and say, okay, I did my 90 days and now I'm good to go.
Yeah.
But I think
it's like that, right? But it's not.
But I mean, we wish it would be like that, because then we would understand that we would get to the other side. Like, if you're this is a bad comparison, but if you're going to get a degree in college, that this is how many courses you're going to take. This is the month and year you're going to graduate, and it's going to be over. So you kind of have this too will pass.
I think a timeline, something to look forward to.
But in this situation with grief, I might react one way and you might react another way.
Yes.
And you
That's
might.
My wife and I.
Yeah.
Katie and I both acted completely differently. For her, she cried a lot, and then sometimes she wouldn't understand why I didn't cry. And this is going to sound horrible, but I really find comfort in humor. So that is my out. I will joke about probably some things that probably are inappropriate, that people will go, man, that's distasteful, or how could you even joke about like that? But that to me is my way of dealing with the grief and emotions.
But I think that's part of your coping mechanism. I mean,
absolutely.
I think that's the danger in all of us passing judgment on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're laughing over something that I am crying over, that doesn't make you wrong. It makes you different. If I can remember at a funeral that had to do with my family, not my son's, but my family, I can remember one particular family member going around and trying to make everybody laugh, telling funny stories and things. And the ones that responded, in the way that it helped them. Helped them. But then the other ones that needed to cry, they were exhausted because they were trying to be nice, but they needed to just cry.
Right.
So giving each other the freedom.
That's it. Absolutely. Give each other the freedom. Understand that each is having to cope in a different way. You talk about the divorce rate and all that, and that's one thing that Katie and I talked about. Man, a lot of people, especially in a situation like that where a child dies like that, you're like blaming each other. And that's one thing we told each other right at the beginning. This is nobody's fault. It's just something that happened. And to clear it up with everybody, because I didn't say at the beginning, it was actually what they call SID, sudden infant death syndrome. She died in her sleep. There was no cure because they don't know what causes it, and you can't cure something if you don't know what causes it. So we couldn't blame each other, and we told each other that at the very beginning. So that helped us remain strong through it, because you're right. When people deal with the tragedy like that, man, the divorce rate is very high.
Yeah. Well, we wrap our grief in other people. Like it's easier to be mad at you than to deal with the pain I can't explain.
Right. Displace it.
If you can't rewind the clock with blame, then you can't hold on to blame, even if it was somebody's fault. You can.
Right.
It's natural to be furious, but you can't hold on to that blame because there's no going back and undoing it.
Absolutely. Yes. You know, the other thing that I would suggest and have advice about is, and this is with any tragedy or any obstacle, is look for the positive in it. What can you learn from it? What can you grow from it? For me, I was so wrapped up in climbing the corporate ladder at the job I was at. I was traveling all the time. I was working overtime. I hardly had time for my family. I'd come in, it would be more or less go to bed, get up way early in the morning, be gone again, be on flights. And I took my family for granted. And I look back at those times I could have spent with my kids a lot more. And I had to walk away from that. Matter of fact, I even left the type of business I was in, and I'm completely in a different field now that I was in. It's because family is very important. And man, when you lose somebody in a family like that, it makes you realize, prioritize. You can still be a successful business. You just got to learn to prioritize. And as Kim has taught me, you know, she's kind of mentored me on setting up goals and all that, but it's not so much working harder as it is working smarter, capitalizing on the time that you have. So, and you can do that with your family too. Capitalize on that time.
When you have your focus on the right things, the rest of your life is more profitable, I think.
Yes.
Well, I have to tell you, I am going to probably like spill some beans you might not want me to spill, but I'm going to anyway because you have met me. But
right.
I can remember sitting in my office and having the whiteboard and going over and talking to you about the list of things that you were trying to do. And I mean, I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote all these things out. And just the epiphany, because I do this for myself, is why I know this works. You know, just the epiphany of realizing what all you were trying to fit into every 24-hour day was, I mean, it was enormous. It was exhausting me to think about even you doing those things. But I also look at the thing that you took that and ran with that really and accomplished something really big. You know, if you're not in the Toastmasters organization, you might not understand the huge commitment or the huge sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice to become the communicator and the leader that it takes to be a distinguished Toastmaster. That's the top rank. And when you sent me that message, man, I was so excited because it's like I knew before you knew that you would do that, but you didn't. You know, I think really you didn't believe me.
Right, I didn't.
But I look and I think you have so much to offer the world, and for you not to be able to communicate that was just, to me, just you know, just disastrous.
Well, I've got some other accomplishments too, because I've taken that advice you've given me. I do get me a planner every year, the one where you can write out daily what your tasks are going to be, set your plan in action.
Yeah.
And you know, when you and I talked then, you know, I've been at the company then, I think 10 years or so, or actually been 9 years without a promotion. And I actually got a promotion to senior designer. What I am now, what I was before was just a designer, but I got promoted to senior designer. So that was a big accomplishment.
Awesome.
And
so awesome.
all just trying to plan out your day.
That's so awesome.
That is fantastic.
Well, you make me proud because you're like my poster child. You know, because you have done all that and not sacrificed your family, because that's, you know, that's the other side of this, the whole goals and setting your priorities is, it's not so that we can accomplish 5 bazillion things and leave our family in the dust.
Right.
So that we can love our family and accomplish what we need to accomplish.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I guess I don't mean to like embarrass you or anything. I'm just so proud. I can't help myself.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. You know, I struggled with confidence forever. So
yes.
It's a thing I still struggle with, but now I know how to push through it.
Yes. And what is confidence, Martin Maynard?
It's sexy.
It's sexy. I will never forget, and I'm sure they won't either, but I actually gave a speech at, there was what? How many were in the room of the engineers?
Oh, there was a lot. Yeah, quite a few.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
And they about died because they turned me loose on them to give a speech. And that speech was that confidence, was sexy. And anyway, I had a good time, and they did too when it was all said and done. But at first, they were just like, "Oh my God, what are we doing?" That was pretty awesome.
That was a great speech, though. I didn't see it there, but I saw it somewhere else.
Well, what is your sexy life tip? I want to know some tips that you have put into practice, and that you're like finding out how awesome.
Setting goals. Get that daily planner, plan out your day so that you can be not working harder, but working smarter and spending smarter time with your family. It doesn't have to be as much quantity of time with your family, but make it quality time. Those are my two biggest advices that I could say that help to this sexy confidence.
I love it. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell you all the time. Your brain is so sexy. You are so smart and so amazing, and the world needs to know you. That's part of what this conference is about, is taking people that I believe in and taking them to the world. And you are one of those people. You've gone through a lot of things. Bailey was one part of the things, but you've gone through a lot of things. You've had a lot of health issues.
Yes.
You're still battling some, but I mean, look at
all the worst part of it.
You what?
We're through the worst part of it, the health part of it. So the other stuff is just minor stuff now.
Good. I am so glad to hear that. So glad. This man, though, I'm going to tell another funny story. I just remembered another funny.
There's no telling.
You were supposed to be at the I can't think of what you call it now. Not the grand opening, but what's the meeting called?
The open house meeting, or what?
The one like where you charter the Toastmasters Club and stuff.
Groundbreaking,
or there's a name, but anyway, nobody cares. You were supposed to be there, and you were in the hospital.
Oh yes.
And so being the princess that I am, and I can't help it, I didn't want you to miss out on anything, so we just went to the hospital. We brought balloons, and I'm sure that the whole floor was like laughing at us.
Hey, I was pretty bummed out that day, at the beginning of that day, because it was the charter party that we were having for the. Yeah, it was a charter party and charter meeting and celebration, and I was bummed out. I was in the hospital, not going to get to attend, and get this knock on the door, and here comes Kim with balloons and all kinds of stuff. Brought the party to the hospital. It was awesome.
This is what we love about Toastmasters. We've been telling our viewers about Toastmasters just because of things like that. Nothing holds them back. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. That's the reason I actually joined Toastmasters. Of course, I joined because Kim asked, first of all, And I was interested in it. And the more I got into it, I truly believe everybody has a story to tell. I think everybody faces certain things in their life that they can help other people through. Doesn't matter what it is. And I felt like I had a story to tell, and I wanted to be able to tell it well. And Toastmasters is helping me, give me that platform. So I speak about Bailey a lot. I went through a lot of child abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. And I use it, and I speak out about it. The last couple of speeches I've talked out about it. And my goal is to reach and help others, man. I don't want them to suffer like I did, because I really think it's what lended to my low self-esteem, some of the bad decisions I made when I was younger. So I want to be able to speak out about it and say that, again, faith in God, putting your faith in, it doesn't have to be a lot of people, but find a couple of people you can completely put your trust in and let them mentor you and help you through that. Because if you can open up to somebody, that absolutely helps.
Yeah.
One of the things that Dave Ross said yesterday was to find your team, like find your home team. And I think, he's a good example. He did that for me, like believing in me before I had a clue what was going on. I would have absolutely laughed if anybody would have told me I would have been on, live videos and reaching thousands and thousands of people. I would have laughed because I was the one that held my breath the entire time. I was just trying to say my name, And so now to come all this way.
It's only one syllable.
Oh.
Hey, I do notice right now you even breathe while you're talking now.
It's very useful. My circle, this is a princess fact. Anybody in my circle knows that if I start getting, and I don't call it nervous, it's excited, I will start holding my breath. And so then I start almost panting while I'm talking. And it's so embarrassing because at the time I don't realize it. But then I get off and I look at the video and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it again. So thank you for appreciating the fact I'm not so breathy today.
What you're saying is when we learn a skill, we can't just go, oh, I learned that skill and move on. We have to continue to be aware and do the thing that we learned to do.
Right. So what are you doing in Toastmasters now?
What am I doing now?
Yes.
I'm actually going to take a break. I actually was going to run for division director and decided to take a break from that because I want to pursue some other things more in towards my job wise. And it's taking a lot of time. I'm doing a lot of traveling to Virginia and Ohio. So I'm cutting back a little bit on Toastmasters, but I'm still involved, just not as much as I was.
Oh, I understand. I mean, I felt terrible whenever I started traveling so much and, couldn't attend like I did before. But Toastmasters is definitely, and this is not a pitch for Toastmasters.
Oh, no.
This is not a pitch for anything. This conference is all about helping people just have hope.
Right.
That if you are wanting any part of your life to communicate better, if you have a job and you need a promotion, or if you have low self-esteem, or any of the things that any of us have ever suffered through, Toastmasters is a great place to start working on that.
You just want some really fun friends.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That is true. Networking, fun friends, and all that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And not to take away from Hope to Hope. Absolutely, you're right. Not to take away from Hope to Hope, but really Toastmasters can blend right in with that as far as giving you hope, because it helps you be able, like me. I mean, I'm really able to get up and speak out about SIDS, about losing a child, about different aspects of my life, and Toastmasters again is giving me that confidence, that platform to be able to do that with.
Yeah.
But to get back to Hope, really, no matter what you are going through, then there is hope, and just don't ever give up.
That's right. And I love that, you said you just recently began talking in the last couple of years, began speaking about the things that you went through in your childhood. And I think sometimes you have to be in a place where you can talk about slightly smaller things, the less impactful things that are happening right now, and maybe make some people laugh because, you said humor makes you feel good, make some people laugh. You talk about what's going on right now until you feel safe and you can start dealing with and talking about those deeper things. We have to, any type of abuse, and there myself, any type of abuse kind of removes our boundaries and removes our sense of power, and we can feel like anything goes and well, I'll just survive the next thing, instead of, hey, this is my life and I'm gonna, make it as big as I can.
Right.
So when you can start talking and start feeling some power, then that power kind of filters down into that empty part that felt so powerless before.
No, absolutely. That's good. I like that. You're right.
Well, I think you're a powerhouse, Martin Maynard.
Well, I appreciate it. I've had some good mentors in my life, so I've been very fortunate.
And one pushy princess.
That's right.
We love our pushy princess.
Yes, we do. We miss her. What's sad is I did not even realize you weren't living down the road from me anymore till here recently.
I have been on the road so much. I mean, It's been almost 3 years I've been on tour.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I can't believe that. It's like you're saying that the anniversary of the AAP club, it's going to be 3 years. I can't believe that either, because it was probably just after that I started on tour.
It was, because you said you were getting ready to go on tour then, and you're like, well, I can make that meeting. But then that next meeting, you're like, I don't know if I'll be able to make all of them. And yeah, your life's been going crazy fast since.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you believe we did 42 states and Mexico last year alone?
Wow, that's amazing. Well, that was your desire. I knew that was your desire, and I'm glad to see you fulfilling that.
Well, thank you. And that's another part of being in a cool circle of friends is, yes, I was pushy to you and like, yes, I did that. But I also know that you helped inspire me to keep going because you believed in what I was doing also.
Right.
I think that's a really big point to put out there for this conference in particular. Collaboration is so sweet.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I don't have to talk to you every day to know that I can call you in a second and you're still there.
Right.
And I hope you know the same.
Yes.
We're grateful.
Yes.
She's been talking about you all day. Oh, I can't wait to meet Martin. I can't wait to meet
Well, I hope I didn't disappoint you any.
Not slightly.
No way. No way.
I'm just so glad you and your wife worked out through that. It is true that so many people break up at a time when you need each other so desperately, and I'm just so grateful that you guys made that decision to not.
Hey, nobody else would put up with you.
Yeah. I'm all about love to last forever, man.
You squeeze Miss Candy for me.
I will. They just left to go get the kids from the park. So her and Katie. We've had the grandbaby all day. So.
I know, I'm jelly. I can't believe you have a grandbaby. I have grandpuppies.
You will one of these days.
Oh yeah.
I keep telling him I want 12. That's about the time he's got to go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the Hope to Hope conference, Mr. Martin.
Absolutely. I appreciate you letting me come and speak about our story. And again, I just want to be there to give people hope and that there is. And really, I truly believe there's hope in God.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And we're not done with you. Like, we're going to have to do some more things because I definitely want to get this like recorded in a better way than the live part so that we can get your story out there too more.
Sounds good.
Thank you, and I love you.
Love you too. You guys take care. Have a good, happy Easter, and be safe on your travels.
Yes, sir. You too.
God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Hope to Hope conference. We're excited that you came to be with us. I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business team.
And I'm Kristi Bridges with One Moment Wiser.
And we will be back at 6 Central Time for the Q&A part. If you missed anything, we're here. The speakers are going to be around. So if you have questions of any kind, we're going to do a recap. But come and join us at 6, and we will see you then.
Yeah.